Now we'll be looking at some past questions to see how to apply the concepts that we've learned to solve questions. So in this first question, we are asked that if the midpoint of the line PQ is 2,3 and the point P is minus 2,1, find the coordinates of point Q. So the first thing I want to do is I want to sketch out the problem. So you have a line PQ. I are given the coordinates of point P as minus 2,1 and I are given the coordinates of the midpoint as what 2,3. You are now told to find the coordinates of this point. So now let me call the coordinate of this point x2 and y2, and let me call the coordinate of this point here x1 and y1. Now if I want to find the midpoint of line PQ, you know that what I will do is that I'll find the sum of the x-axis in both P and Q, or the x coordinate. So to find my midpoint for the x coordinate over here, I will have what x1 plus x2 over 2, and that will give me the midpoint for the x-axis. But I'm told that the midpoint for the x coordinate now is what? Is 2. So x1 plus x2 over 2 is equals to 2. So I know the value of x1 as minus 2. So I can write minus 2 plus x2 over 2 is equals to 2. So I have minus 2 plus x2 is equals to 2 times 2, which gives me 4. Then I have x2 is equals to 4 plus 2, and that is equals to 6. So the value of x2 is what? 6. I can apply the same idea to y2, because I know that y1 plus y2 over 2 will give me the y coordinate at the midpoint. So the y coordinate at the midpoint is what? 3. So it's equals to 3. I know that my y1 is 1, so I have 1 plus, I don't know what my y2 is, over 3 over 2 is equals to 3. So if I cross multiply, I have 1 plus y2 is equals to 3 times 2 gives me 6. So I have my y2 being equals to 6 minus 1, and that is equals to 5. So the value of y2 at this point is what? 5. So the coordinate of Q is given as what? 6, 5, and the correct option to that is option D. Now let's move on to the next question. Here we are told to find the distance between these 2 points, and we are given the coordinates of those points. So as usual, what we have to do is just to label those points. So I label here as my x1, y1, and here as x2 and y2. Now I know that the distance between 2 points is given as the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, and that becomes the square root of my x2 in this case is minus half, so I have minus half minus, and my x1 in this case is half squared. My y2 in this case is minus half, and my y1 in this case is half, so then squared, and that becomes minus half gives me minus 1 squared plus, and I have minus half gives me minus 1 squared also. And I know that minus 1 squared is 1 and minus 1 squared is 1. So I have 1 plus 1, and that gives me what? Root 2. So the distance between those 2 points is root 2, and the correct option to that is option A. Now on to the next question. And here we are told that the distance between the point 4, 3 and the intersection of these 2 lines, y is equals to 2x plus 4 and y is equals to 7 minus x, is what? So to do that, I'll try to sketch that out. So we have 2 lines that intersect, and let me mark one with this red line. So let me say this is the first line, which I have as what? Y is equals to 2x plus 4, and I have the second line that intersects with this. I'm told that the equation of that line is y is equals to 7 minus x. So at the point of intersection, I'm told to find the distance between that point to say another point in which the distance is what? The coordinates further is what? 4, 3. So I'm told to find the distance between this point over here and this point over here. Now, if I know the coordinates of this point and this point, I can easily find the distance using that formula that we already know. But I don't know the coordinates at this point. But one thing you notice is that at the intersection of these 2 lines, they are going to have the same coordinate. That means the value of x and y in this coordinate are going to be equal. So if the value of So at this point over here, the value of y is equal. So the value of y here is 2x plus 4 and the value of y here is 7 minus x. So I can equate them together. And what does that give me? So at the point of intersection, the value of y of both lines are equal. So I have y over here, this y here is equals to this y over here. And the value of y over here is given as 2x plus 4. So I have 2x plus 4 is equals to 7 minus x. So when I collect like them, I have 2x plus x is equals to 7 minus 4. And I have 3x is equals to 3. If I divide both sides by 3, I have the value of x being equals to 1. So that means at this point over here, the coordinate of x is what? Is 1. Now I want to find the coordinate of y. So I can fix in the value of x into any of these two equations and I'll get the value of y. So to do that, I know that my y is equals to 2x plus 4. So now when my x value is 1, my y will be equals to 2 into bracket 1 plus 4, and that gives me 6. On the other hand, you can try to use the second equation over here, the second line, where we have y is equals to 7 minus x. In this case, I have y is equals to 7 minus 1, and the answer will still be 6. So the coordinate at this point of intersection is going to be 1, 6. So I know the coordinates at this point over here, and I know the coordinates of this point over here, and I'm told to find the distance between them. So what do? I just label the coordinates. I label here x1, y1, and I label here x2 and y2. I know that the distance between 2 points is given as the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus the square root of y2 minus y1 squared, and that becomes the square root of x2 in this case is 4 and my x1 in this case is 1. My y2 in this case is 3 and my y1 in this case is 6. So that becomes the square root of 4 minus 1 is 3. So I have 3 squared. Then 3 minus 6 gives me minus 3. So I have minus 3 squared. So that becomes the square root of 3 squared is 9 and minus 3 squared is 9. And that becomes the square root of 18. Square root of 18 I can write as the square root of 9 times 2. I know that the square root of 9 is 3. So this is equals to what? 3 root 2. So the distance between the intersection of this line and point 4, 3 is 3 root 2, which makes B the correct option. So to recap, the first thing we did was that we tried to locate the coordinate of the intersection, and we said that at the point of intersection, the x and the y coordinates for both lines will be equal. So we equated their y value. So the y of this line is given as 2x plus 4 and the y of this line is given as 7 minus x. So when we equated them, we found the value of x. When we got the value of x, we now substitute it back to the value of y in any of the line. You get the same answer, and we got it as what? As 6. So we now found the coordinates of the point of intersection as 1, 6. Then using our formula for calculating distance between 2 points, we now use it to find the distance between the point of intersection here and the external point 4, 3. And we got our answer to be what? 3 root 2. Now let's look at another example, and here we are told that a straight line makes an angle of 30 degrees with the positive x-axis and the y-axis at y equals to 5. Find the equation of the straight line. So I'll just quickly try to draw a sketch. So we have the x and y axis like this. We have the x-axis and the y-axis. Now you have a straight line that passes through y is equals to 5. So the line passes through point y, and it passes through the positive axis of x, and the angle there is what? 30 degrees. And at this point of intersection, y is equals to 5. I'm now told to find the equation of the line. We know that our formula for calculating the equation of a line is given as y is equals to mx plus c. Now we know that the slope we can find as what? Tan theta, where theta is the angle that is being made with the positive x or with the x-axis. So that becomes what? Tan, and the angle here is 30. And tan 30 is equals to 1 over root 3. Now c is the intercept of the line with the y-axis, and the intercept of this in this line is what? Of this line is y is equals to 5. So the intercept is 5. So we can now substitute the value of m and c into the equation. So the equation of the line becomes y is equals to 1 over root 3x plus 5. Now to remove this root 3, I can multiply through by root 3. So I have root 3y is equals to root 3 over root 3x then plus root 3 times 5. So this cancel this. So I'm left with what? Root 3y is equals to x plus 5 root 3. So this represents the equation of the line. And which option corresponds to that? That is option A. So this is the correct option, option A. So this is the equation of the line. So let's look at another example. And here we are told that in the figure above, what is the equation of the line that passes the y-axis at 0, 5 and passes the x-axis at 5, 0. So we are given 2 points. We are told the line passes through 0, 5 and it passes through 5, 0. And if you remember our formula for finding the equation of a line, if you are given 2 points, it states that y minus y1 over x minus x1 is equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So all we need to do is to label these coordinates. So we label here as x1 and y1, and we label here as x2 and y2. And if you recall, the order does not matter. I can choose to name here x2, y2, and here x1, y1. So I just substitute it into the formula. So I have y minus, my y1 value is 5 over x minus my x1 value is 0 is equals to my y2 value is 0, my y1 value is 5 over my x2 value is 5 and my y1 value, my x1 value is 0. So I have y minus 5 over x is equals to 0 minus 5 gives me minus 5 and 5 minus 0 gives me 5. So I have, so that becomes y minus 5 over x is equals to minus 5 over 5 gives me minus 1. And if I cross multiply, I have 1 minus 5 is equals to minus x. If I bring this 5 to the other side, I have y is equals to minus x plus 5. So the equation of the line is what? Y is equals to minus x plus 5. And that makes the correct option to this question option C. So now let's move on to the next question. In this question, we are asked that what is the locus of point that is equidistant from points P and point Q. So the first thing I would like to do is try to sketch out problem. So we have points P, and we are given that the coordinates point P is 1, 3, and we have point Q, and we are given that the coordinates 3, 5. So we are now told to find the locus of the point that is equidistant from 2 points. Now, if you have not gone through the video on locus, you have to go through that to understand what we are going to do here. So the locus of points that is equidistant from 2 points is equals to a line that is perpendicular to line PQ and passes through the midpoint of line P and Q. So it passes through the midpoint and it is perpendicular to the line. So now we are going to try to find the coordinates at this point of intersection here. And the coordinate at this point of intersection here is given by the midpoint of line P and point Q. So I can label here as x1, y1 and here as x2, y2 and try to figure out the midpoint. The midpoint is given as x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. And that becomes, my x1 in this case is 1 plus 3 over 2, and my y is what? 3 plus 5 over 2. And that becomes 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So the coordinates at this point of intersection there is what? 2, 4. So now we have 1 point. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to find the slope of this line. And to find the slope of this line, we know that this line is perpendicular to this line. So we can first try to find the slope of line PQ, and when we find the slope, then we can now apply our law for perpendicularity to find this slope of this line. So for us to find the slope of line PQ, so now to find the slope of line PQ, so slope of M for line PQ, find the slope. We now have to find the slope. We can write that what? Y minus y1 over x minus x1 is equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So now and I'm still going to make use of the same labeling. So my y1 in this case is 3. So y minus 3 over x minus my x1 is 1 is equals to my y2 here is 5 minus my y1 is 3 over my x2 is 3 and my x1 is 1. So that becomes y minus 3 over x minus 1 is equals to 5 minus 3 is 2 and 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 over 2 which is equals to 1. So if I cross multiply, I have y minus 3 is equals to x minus 1. If I bring this 3 over here, I have y is equals to x minus 1 plus 3. So I have y is equals to x plus 2. So the equation of line, so this equation of line PQ is given as what? Y is equals to x plus 2. Now if I compare it to the general form of the equation that says y is equals to mx plus c, I can see that the coefficient here is 1. So the slope of line PQ is given as what? Is 1. But now I know that the locus of the points that I'm looking for is perpendicular to that line, and let me call the locus here, or the point that I'm looking for, as what? M2. So I know that if two lines are perpendicular, that the product of their slope must be equal to minus 1. So I know that M1 times M2 must be equal to minus 1. Now M2 is what I'm looking for, the slope of this line, but I know the slope of this line that is perpendicular to it, PQ, which is given as 1. So I can write 1 times M2 is equals to minus 1. So M2 is equals to minus 1. So the slope of this line over here is equals to what? Minus 1. So now I know one point in that line as 2, 4, and I know the gradient of the line as minus 1. So I can write out the equation of that point now, of that line rather. So I can write my equation as y minus y1 is equals to x minus x1, and that will be equals to my slope. Now that y2 minus y1 over x minus x1 is the same thing as the slope. So and I found the slope of this line to be equals to minus 1. So now I have to label this point that I know here as what? X1 and y1. So when I apply that, I have y minus, what is my y1 in this case? 4 over x minus, what is my x1 in this case? 2 is equals to the slope, and the slope are found to be minus 1. So when I cross multiply, I have y minus 4 is equals to minus 1 into bracket x minus 2, and that becomes y minus 4 is equals to minus x plus 2. So y is equals to minus x then plus 2. Then when I bring this, it becomes plus 4. So y is equals to minus x plus 6. So the equation of this perpendicular line is given as y is equals to minus x plus 6, and that makes the correct option to this question option A. So y is equals to minus x plus 6. So to recap, what we did was that based on our knowledge of loci that we've talked about before, we know that the locus of point that is equidistant from 2 points is the line that is perpendicular to the line PQ and passes through the center of line PQ. So we first found the coordinate at the center, because we know that will be a point on that line, and we found out by using the formula for midpoint, calculate the midpoint between P and Q, and we got the coordinate to be 2, 4. So when we found that, we now found the slope of this line, or the line that we are looking for. And to find the slope, we first found the equation of the line that is perpendicular to it. So we found the equation of line PQ using this formula, and we found the equation to be y is equals to x plus 2. When we compared it to y is equals to mx plus c, we found that the slope of that line is equals to 1. So when we found that the line is equals to 1, since the line is perpendicular to this line, we know that the product of their slope must be equals to minus 1. So we now use that value to find the slope of this other line here, and we found the slope to be equals to minus 1. So now to find the equation of the line, we now use the formula that y minus y1 over x minus x1 is equals to y2 minus y1 over x minus x1. But y2 minus y1 over x minus x1 represents the slope of the line, and the slope were found to be minus 1. So we just use this coordinate that we already know, 2, 4 as x1 and y1, and we equated it to the slope, which is minus 1. And when we solved that, we simplified, we found that y is equals to minus x plus 6. So the equation of this line that is perpendicular to line PQ is y is equals to minus x plus 6. So as you can see, this question is pretty long, and it requires an in-depth understanding of these principles of knowledge of loci and of equation of a line to be able to attempt this question successfully. So let's move on to the last example or the last question that I'll be looking at. And here we are told that if lines this and this are parallel to each other, you find the value of Q is what? So to do that, we are given two lines. So now we know that if two lines are equal, that what the slope of those two lines, if the two lines are parallel, their slope must be equal. So for parallel lines, comma m1 is equals to m2, so the slope must be equal. So what we'll do is that we'll try to find the slope of both lines. So for the first line, we have what? 3y is equals to 4x minus 1. So the first thing we want to do is that I want to make y is equal to formula. So if we divide through by 3, we have y is equals to 4 over 3x minus 1 over 3. And if I compare that with the general form that says y is equals to mx plus c, I can see that my slope here, m1, is equals to what? Equals to 4 over 3. Now, I take my second line, and in my second line, I have what? Qy is equals to x plus 3. So I make y is equal to formula by dividing through by q. And when I divide through by q, I have y is equals to 1 over qx plus 3 over q. So if I compare that with y is equals to mx plus c, I can see that my slope here, m2, will be equals to what? The coefficient of x, which is 1 over q. Now, since that I'm told that these two lines are parallel, I know that the slope of those lines must be equal to each other. So I know that m1 is equals to m2. So I can write that 4 over 3 must be equals to 1 over q. And when I cross multiply, I have 4q must be equals to 3. And if I divide both sides by 4, I have my q value being equals to 3 over 4. So the value of q is what? 3 over 4. And the correct option to this question is option D. So this pretty much sums up the idea based on gradient, distance between lines, and question of a straight line. So I would like you now to go through the exercises and try to tackle the questions that are there. Also, you can go to the JAMB past questions and look for more questions that are relating to what we have discussed and try to attempt them. And if you are having any difficulty, make sure you use the forum so that you can connect with other students and share ideas. And I believe when you do that, in no time, be able to solve questions that are relating to the equation of a straight line. So that will be all for now. Bye.